What's up, guys? Kay's Fishing Adventures here, back at it again with another Temu lure review video. This is part 2. Got some cool lures here today for you guys to see that we're going to look at, talk about together. And I guess there's nothing better to do than just crack right into it. I'm going to start with the negatives today. And there's not many. I will say I've purchased quite a few lures from Temu, and this was the first time that I had an issue with a couple of the items I received. They did not meet my expectations, so we'll go over those first. First and foremost, we have this guy here, which was supposed to be a topwater spider, but as you can see, its legs are no longer attached. I casted this thing out one time, and when I reeled it back in, pulled it out of the water, these fell off. Now, you could probably glue this back in place if you wanted to, but the action was not very good on it. When I did cast it, and it was just hanging upside down, kinda, it wasn't performing well. So this one definitely, I would say, gets a 1 star from me. Just, yeah, I mean, mostly because, like I said, it fell apart after one cast, but even when it was together and out in the water, it was kind of floating upside down. It just didn't have very good action. Which, I mean, you know, for $4 for a lure, I mean, you get what you pay for, but this one definitely would not recommend. And the only other one that I had an issue with, now I will say, I don't think that this is like a bad lure. I think it's just a little tricky. It was this guy here. It's like a little imitation loach, and it just came in a plastic bag here. I do have some in boxes to show you guys that actually came in them. But yeah, he's kind of like jointed, and he's got like a little soft plastic tail. And I mean, all in all, I think it looks great, color wise and stuff. It just is a little like tricky. You kind of have to jerk it a certain way to get it to have the action that I think it was intended to have. So if you're not, you know, super experienced in doing that, I could see how it would be frustrating, because I mean, if you just reel it in, it kind of stays straight. It doesn't have a lot of that movement, unless you're jerking it. So this one I would say would be a little bit more difficult for a beginner to kind of use, if that makes sense, which is the reason why I have it kind of under the negative, you know. But I think besides that, if you're experienced in this type of bait, I think that it could work well. Obviously, like I said yesterday, I didn't get any bites or anything, so I don't know if that was because they weren't interested in what I was throwing, or just because it wasn't really a good time of day. But yeah, that is this guy, and it was advertised on Temu as an imitation loach. That's why I call it that. But yeah, those two were really the only ones that I noticed some issues with. The rest of these lures that we're about to go over worked pretty good. This guy here is supposed to be a topwater popper. I will say I think it's a little heavy. I mean, it looks great. Awesome, really. The paint and stuff, it looks really good. The details and whatnot. But it is a bit heavy for a topwater. I was noticing that it was sinking under the water. I was kind of having to reel a bit faster than I usually would with a popper to keep it kind of above water. And it wasn't going too deep. It was going maybe like 2-3 inches under the water, but it was definitely sinking. But I don't think that, you know, I don't think I'm going to deduct any points from it, if that makes sense, because of that, because you can still get it to the top of the water. But yeah, just be aware, if you do purchase this lure in particular, it does sink a little bit when you're throwing it out there. But it is supposed to look like a bass. That's what it's supposed to be imitating, like a little baby bass. And I think the colors are great. I mean, it's kind of missing like the lateral line that you would see. It's got that like little red splotch, but I really think it looks great. And it does move well in the water. It just sinks a bit, kind of like I said. And that that came in cardboard, wrapped in a plastic bag, so there's no box for that one either. But yeah, on the topic of topwater lures, while we're on that, I'll go ahead and switch to this guy here. Now this is a rat, and I got it in the gray and white color, just because that's, you know, all the rats I've ever seen are gray with a white tummy in this area, so that was what I went with. And this thing works great. It looks phenomenal in the water. The action is wonderful. And this does stay on top of the water. This didn't sink on me at all. And it's got great like noise to it. Like it's really got that like almost similar to a whopper plopper. Not quite the same thing because it doesn't have the propeller, but that it sounds very similar to one when you're reeling it in on the top of the water. And I'll give you guys a closer look at that. It is jointed, so it's got that side to side, and when it's in the water, the action looks great. Like, I mean, it really looks like a little rat swimming in the water. It's got that lip here, and obviously your split ring. So go ahead and tie that on, or I was using a barrel swivel. So you can use it with a barrel swivel. It's got this little tail here that's also kind of split up into sections so that it kind of has that free movement. But this one, you know, 10 out of 10 for me for a topwater lure. I did get this to target pickerel, pike, those kind of this toothed fish that I would imagine would eat something like this if it was swimming in the water. That's what I had read, so that's why I wanted to give this guy a try, and I was definitely very happy with the way it worked. And so I'm hoping that it'll catch me maybe a big pickerel or a nice little pike this year. So we shall see about that. But no, if you're in the market for this kind of lure, if you want something top water that's like not a frog, something kind of a little different, I would definitely recommend this. It was $4, I believe, a little less than. It was like $3 and some change. And I mean, you can't beat it for that price. You really can't beat it. So yeah, definitely would recommend Mr. Rat here. And he came in this packaging. This is the box he came in. Not much information on it, no branding or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm not rating it based on the packaging. I'm rating it based on how it works. So that definitely 10 out of 10 on that one for me. The next thing we're going to look at here is the Lay Done. It's called a professional fishing lure on the box. Do what you will with that. But this, I would call it a jerk bait. It's got phenomenal action. Looks beautiful in the water. And like when you're reeling it in, it's got that little side to side, but when you jerk it, it looks great. It looks like a running bait fish. And that silver with the kind of chrome looks great in the sun. It definitely draws the eye to it. And I think that the fish will love it too. Once the water starts kind of warming up a little bit and they become more active, I think this will definitely catch fish. And this one was a little over $5. It was $5 and some change. But I would say it's definitely worth it. It's not super cheap compared to, you know, you could get a bait similar to this at like a Walmart or a Bass Pro, and it would probably be around the same, if not like a little bit more expensive. But yeah, I do definitely recommend it if you're on there and you're in the market for fishing lures. This one, I definitely recommend. It's got that little lip there, and you've got your connection to tie it on, and it has 2 treble hooks. They are incredibly sharp. That is one thing I'll say about all of these lures, really with the exception of the topwater spider, is that the hooks are very sharp. A lot of times, like, I will check out the hooks on a new lure and see if I want to maybe change them out for hooks I trust a little more. But these ones all came with good hooks. They're nice and sharp, so no complaints there. And that's his little face. Yeah, I love this. This 10 out of 10 as well, just the same as the rat. And I gotta tell you guys, I've got some saucy stuff over here, but I'm saving the best for last. I have a little pile that we're gonna go over, that I think are the best ones that I purchased. But moving on, we've got this guy here. Now I did get 2 of these. I got one in pink and one in kind of like a clear color. It's kind of like white with sparkles. Yeah, I'm not sure what you'd call it, but it's like clear white with sparkles. Almost like the bottom of this one, just without the pink hue. But my lovely girlfriend has it in her tackle box. She decided she was going to kidnap it from me, which is okay. It looks the same, just like I said, that kind of clear white color. And I know that this is an imitation of a different type of lure, but I don't exactly recall the name of it. I'm sure some of you guys out there will probably know what it is, but I know that I had seen it in videos and whatnot and heard good things about it. So when I saw it on Temu, I grabbed it because this was only about $2. It was 2 and some change. And you can see it's got the hook in there under these little flaps here. So you can't see the hook at all. Like, you know, a fish in the water isn't going to be able to see that hook. And the plastic seems very durable. It's got good action on the tail there. You see its little eyes here. It's got the connection for your line right on the front there. It's got a bit of an ugly face, but that's okay. They're not supposed to be pretty. You got your little fins here, as well as the fins on the side. They have a little bit of overhang there. And this, yeah, I don't have too much to say on it, besides I did like the action. I thought it looked really good in the water when I was kind of reeling it in. I was kind of going back and forth between, you know, reeling in a little quick and then stop, jerk it a little bit, and etc. Can repeat. And it did look really good. So yeah, again, definitely recommend it. I know that the name brand version of this lure goes for quite a bit more than 2 and some change, so I would say this is definitely worth it if you're in the market for this kind of lure and you don't want to spend more than, you know, $3-4 bucks. This is definitely right up your alley. So I would say this one is a thumbs up from me for sure. I don't have too much to say about it. No complaints. Thought it looked good. Now we're going to get into these guys here. And these are very similar, these 2 lures, but they have some slight differences that we'll kind of go over. First and foremost, we have this guy here. It's got interesting coloring. I'm not entirely sure what kind of fish you would compare that to. But it's got a nice face, nice detail on the side there. The fins are painted on, but it is raised a bit here where the gills would be. That is raised plastic. Everything else on here is painted, except for the tail. The tail also has these grooves, kind of. Yeah, and this is actually the only one I didn't get to see in the water yesterday. So I will say I don't know how the action on this one in particular is. But I'm assuming it will be very similar to the other lures that are like this that I have. And I will say, I like these baits. I think that, you know, they can have good action, but I do prefer more of like a glide bait type design, which I'll get into in a moment when we look at our glide bait. But the other lure that I got that's very similar to this one is this guy here. This is more of like a regular bait fish color. You could almost compare it to like a shiner or like a green gill kind of. And again, very similar. Has the ridges on the tail and the gills are raised, but the fins and all of that is all painted on. This one I think is a little bigger visually, yeah, than this one here. So this one's a little bigger. It's also smooth, like it's got kind of that glossy finish, whereas this is a bit more rough to the touch, doesn't quite have that same finish. And this one here, the fin up top is split with the joints, whereas this is almost, it's a lot less split, if you can see what I mean there. This one's got more fins up top. This one only has the two. Both of them I think look great, but if I was going to recommend one to you guys, I would recommend this one over this guy, just purely based off of looks, and also I was able to see this one in the water, and I was very pleased with its action. So I would definitely recommend this one of the two. But I would say they'll both work. Like I think they'd both catch you a fish. This one only came in a bag, unfortunately, so I don't have a package to show you for that one. But this guy came in this packaging. Again, not really much to see. It's not branded or anything like that. But it did at least come in a box. You'll notice with a lot of Temu lures, they'll come like either in like these bags, or they'll kind of be like wrapped in cardboard and whatnot. But not that that really matters. It gets taken out of the package anyway, but that is just something to keep in mind, so you're not surprised if something comes in and it doesn't have a box. But yeah, that is these two baits. Like I said, would definitely recommend this one over this one, but I think that they would both do the job. So it's really a matter of what your personal preference is and what the fish in your water like, the type of bait fish that they eat. Now we're going to go on, you know what, actually we're going to do this first. On the topic of these kind of baits, I prefer glide baits, like I said. I just find that they have more realistic action in the water, and I think they tend to look a bit more realistic. This guy here looks pretty realistic. I have no complaints on realism for that. But this guy is just 20 out of 20. I mean, this thing looks like a real pumpkin seed in the water. I threw it out there yesterday, and I was just thoroughly impressed. Obviously, like with most treble bait hooks, the same is said for everything else that I've talked about except for this topwater rat. If you're fishing in heavily weeded areas, you are going to pull in weeds with this, quite a bit of them. But that's just a given. It's got one joint with those two pieces there, so it's got that side to side action. The fin, as well as the gills and the eyes, that's all raised. And of course you've got the little blue gill that the pumpkin seeds have, with the little piece of red. It has a brush tail, so it's got more movement in the water, the tail does. Unlike something like this that has like it's just the hard plastic tail, this guy has the brush tail, which I really like. And I mean, this thing was $4 and some change. Glide baits can be very expensive, as I'm sure a lot of you know if you use glide baits. So I can't recommend this enough. It worked great. It's weighted well. It's got some good shake to it, like some good noise. And yeah, I am very confident that I will be catching fish on this very soon. I think it's just a matter of they need to be, you know, really, they need to be biting, I think, for this, because it is kind of a big lure. For glide baits, it's not that big at all. It's really, I think, kind of to the medium small range. But I mean, when you're used to throwing things like this, this is a lot bigger, a lot heavier. But yeah, 20 out of 10 for this guy. I mean, he looks great in your hand, and he looks even better in the water. So I would recommend purchasing this one if you use glide baits, or if you are in an area where you've got pumpkin seed, they're natural in your ponds or your lakes. Can't recommend this enough. Out of all of the lures I'm showing you today, this is the one I would probably recommend the most in terms of buying and trying yourself. There are a couple here that I will say that about, but that one out of any of them is the one that I would recommend the most. Here we have, it came in this little bag. The bag did come with like a zip close part of it, but I cut it with my knife without realizing, so this doesn't zip close anymore, but that's okay. This guy is a little spinner. And it's very similar to the one I talked about in my Bass Pro Shop lure review video, but this one is a little bigger. Now, I ordered what I thought was 10 grams. I did not get that. This is 30 grams, this weight, this bait weight. This is very heavy. I mean, I put it on my bait caster, my Lew's American Hero, and it was like, it was bending. So it is heavy. I would throw this on a heavier duty rod for sure. Once I switched it over to my ugly stick, it was fine. I was able to throw it without a problem. But on the bait caster, this was a little tricky. It looks great. I think the detail is beautiful. I think it looks very natural. The spinner tail could maybe be a bit bigger to the ratio of the imitation fish itself, but I mean, I don't really have any complaints on it. I just think maybe it could benefit from a slightly bigger spoon. The spoon itself is gold, and it kind of shimmers against that, so I think it will look really good in the water. It did look good in the water when I had it out yesterday, but I think it would look even better, like in more open water without weeds and stuff. It did come with the hook protector, and this is the hook it came with. I will say this is the only hook that I'm not very impressed with. You can see it's kind of that lighter shade metal. It feels cheaper than these hooks, and they're not super sharp. Like these will poke you. This is not very sharp at all, this hook. So I will probably end up switching out this hook. I'll definitely end up switching it out, honestly. Just because, like I said, yeah, it's a bit dull for me. But besides that, yeah, I think this lure looks great. So the two downsides I would say is that the hook it comes with isn't super great. And it is heavy, which isn't necessarily a downside for someone. It really depends on the gear that you have, I think. But yeah, it's a little heavy. I would recommend changing out the hook on it. But besides that, I mean, I think it looks great. It's definitely got some good shine. It's got that big eye. And this guy was a little less than $3. It was, yeah, again, $2 and some change. So, I mean, I definitely recommend it in regards of that. It's relatively cheap. I mean, I bought a similar one to this at Bass Pro Shop, and I spent $7. This one is bigger. And again, I paid like $2 and some change. So, I would definitely recommend it if you're in the market for something like this. Yeah, I would recommend maybe changing out the hook. Putting on something that might get them a little better. And the next bait we're going to be talking about is, I have seen these baits everywhere. I don't know what they're called. It looks almost like a mini glide bait. This is the packaging it came in. It did have this little guy up here, but I did take that off when I opened it. And it does come with an extra tail, like it's some extra fins for the tail, if you do end up needing to replace those. And this is in bass color. But it's almost just like a little mini glide bait. And this looked amazing in the water, like phenomenal. Like just the same with the bluegill. I would so highly recommend purchasing this lure. It just looked great. I've yet to purchase a glide bait from Temu that I didn't think looked great. I mean, they just have wonderful action. You can reel this in quick and it will whip, or you can kind of just slowly pull it in and it looks just like a slow swimming bait fish. It's phenomenal. Can't recommend it enough. Really give you guys a good look at it. The coloring is great too. Like, the camera is not doing it justice, but it is incredibly detailed on the side there. And it's got those mean looking eyes. And of course you have your hook connection right here up at the nose. And it's got 2 treble hooks here. And these are very sharp. Like, these are what you would expect for a bait. That spinner, like, that hook was kind of weird. But yeah, this and the bluegill, I just could not recommend enough. I think these are gonna really like smack the fish, if you get what I'm saying. And this little guy was like, I think $1.50, like $2. I mean, like, come on, you really can't beat that. So yeah, would definitely recommend this guy 100%. Shipping for all of this came in the same order, except for this guy here, if it wants to come off. Stuck in my sheet a little bit. Uh-oh. That's okay. The silver jerkbait. The silver jerkbait and the pumpkin seed glide bait came in a separate order. The rest of this stuff came together, and it took about a week and a half for it all to get here. So shipping on these was relatively quick. I will say, when you're ordering off of Temu, be a little cautious, because they say it goes by weight. But I don't know if I exactly believe that. But you're either going to be getting your package from USPS or SpeedX. I've noticed SpeedX takes a little bit longer to get your package to you, but it's still only about a week to a week and a half is what I would say it takes usually. Oh boy, that is really stuck. We're gonna have to fix that after this video. Now we're getting into the good stuff. From here, I'm gonna go in order of like least favorite to most favorite. But that being said, I love all of these lures. Some